Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Hannah from Hannah B Flute, and if you're new, welcome. I am a writer, flute teacher, composer, and arranger, and I make videos every week relating to the flute, music, and all of that good stuff. So this week I am going to be comparing forScore versus the IMSLP app. They are both sheet music readers, and you can get sheet music from both of them to download directly within the app, so you don't have to worry about downloading it from the internet or scanning anything into your iPad. But again, you will need an iPad, so I have just the standard 9.7 inch. It's about this big. I have a lot of friends who use the Pro for sheet music. I may do that in the future, but for now this is a good size, if you're wondering. But the other size is about 13 inches. There's also an 11-inch iPad Pro and I think a 10.2 inch regular iPad. This is just the 9.7. It is a little small, but it works for me, and I will show you a few ways that I make it so that I can read the sheet music more easily. So let's get into the meat of the video. Okay, so here we are on the home screen of my iPad. I have a lot of apps, as you can see, but the main two we're focusing on is going to be forScore and IMSLP. So let's go in to forScore. So here I'm going to go to something a little bit better to use as an example. So here we have the Moyes 24 short etudes, and I'll just use this to show you guys kind of what you can do with the IMSLP app. So as you may have noticed, you could do that, and you see this blue line, so it's showing half of the first page, half of the next page. So the way you you can alter the way that you turn pages. So the way you do that is you go into here, you tap on that icon so it says half page turns disabled. So now if I do that, it will turn a full page. And unfortunately, I really wish you could set it either way for per piece or per book, because this I don't really need the half page turns, because nothing is more than a page long. But unfortunately you can't, so I just leave it enabled because I don't want to have to be playing a piece and then realize, oh shoot, I can't turn the whole page, and not be able to do that, and not be able to change the setting while I'm performing. So I just leave it on and I just deal with it. Another thing you can do with the page turns is if I turn my iPad like this, you can, it shows half the page, so you would turn and you would get half a page at a time. This is nice for viewing a lot of the piece at once. As you can see, this is much bigger than the portrait view. But in landscape, you can also enable dual pages, so you can view that. It is much smaller, but if there's 2 pages of stuff and you don't have anywhere to turn the page, it can be nice. So I just will leave that disabled because I don't typically use that. But yes, and I typically will do it on portrait just because that's just what I do. I pretty much only use the landscape if I really need it big and I'm able to turn every half a page, or if I need to charge my Apple Pencil, which is what I use to mark on the sheet music. So yeah, if I want to annotate, what you can do if you have an Apple Pencil is you can use that, or you can hold down and you see this annotation. So I can circle things, you can undo, you can erase. So if there's something that you made a mark a few marks back, perhaps you did this, that, but you don't want to undo this, that's a good reason for the erase. You can also tap to the next page if you want to keep annotating. You can highlight if you want to. You can add musical symbols. I never do that. I typically just write them in so that they're more noticeable. But that's that. You can rearrange. You can add layers. And you can drag this. So if I need to make a mark up here, I can do that. But yeah, that's really helpful. I use that a lot in rehearsals or just in my own practice. So yeah, over here, going back, you can see my library. So you can add tags. You can list by composers, genres. So for me, I just use chamber music, etude, flute, choir, orchestra, solo. Tags, I have current and method. So current is current stuff that I'm working on, whether it's solos or chamber ensembles or before the pandemic orchestra. Then I have labels, which for me I just separate by instrument, flute, alto, flute, piccolo. But I primarily use the current tag, and then I use methods. So these are all of my studies and method books and stuff like that. You can also search for things. So if I want to find Bach, I guess that won't work there. If I want to find like concerto, this isn't, okay, that's not. So you can search by tags, I guess, if you want to find. See, I haven't used some of this, but there's Bach. You can import sheet music. You can go to your full library. You can add libraries. Then here you can create bookmarks and set lists. Set lists I use for different ensembles. That way I can scroll. So this was our last orchestra concert. So here, so that I don't have to go to the library, I can just tap the next page, and it loads all of the music. And so you can use that. I really like that. But just going back here, you can, here's the search bar if you want to search for anything. So recently played, all scores, done. You can use their metronome, pitch, and tuner. I will use the metronome. I'll typically put it on both so it's audible and visible. You can hear that. You can also set it to be just visible or just audible or off. The only thing I don't like about this is you can't do subdivisions. So if you want to set it to like the 8th note, you would have to set it a lot higher. But you can have it give you a pitch. You can tune yourself. Apparently those are the pitches I'm speaking at. But yeah, so all good things. Then you go up here to this little briefcase. That's another way to get to the annotation mode, is to do that. But I would prefer to either just use my Apple Pencil or just press down on screen. You can link to different pages. So if you have a repeat that's a few pages away, that can be nice. I don't really know what buttons are. You can rearrange the pages. You can add notes. So you can crop. So this is what I was talking about a little earlier, of how I use this on a small thing. You can blur out some of that white space so that it looks bigger, and you can just hit crop. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't really need to crop that. Then you can share. So if I'm playing music with someone else who has an iPad, this is really good. I've shared it with my teacher and friends. You can add scores with storage, with the store, with cloud storage, scanning. You can also, I guess, add a piano, record. Performance mode means you can't access some of these things as easily. You can also use queue, so if you're playing on an iPad and someone else is playing on an iPad, you can set it up so that when one of you turns the page, it'll turn the page for both. You can back things up and go into settings. So that's a bit about FourScore. And I did write a blog post all about this. I don't think I did a video on it, but FourScore is probably the gold standard for sheet music apps. It does cost, I believe, about $15 now. However, it's very worth it. You don't have to worry about carrying around sheet music. You can do a lot with it. You can do a lot more than IMSLP. You can do a lot with some other sheet music apps, but FourScore is very flexible. And so I would say it's worth it. But yeah, so if you're wanting to use sheet music primarily on your iPad, just pay the $15. You will thank yourself later when you have more flexibility to crop things and arrange them and turn pages easily. But yeah, so now we will go back to my home page and go to IMSLP. So I showed a bit of this in my IMSLP app overview video, so I won't go too in depth with it. I'll try and link it below if I remember. But you have all your scores here automatically organized by composer. You can also create set lists. Typically, I don't do much with this because I pretty much just use it for sight reading, for etudes, and for full orchestral parts of like the orchestral excerpts I'm working on. So if I go into Bach, I have some sonatas, but then I have some orchestra stuff. Claude Debussy, I have the Preludes, Afternoon of a Faun. That's the full thing. It's not just the excerpt that comes in those excerpt books. Brahms, I have a Brahms symphony, the full flute and piccolo part. I do have some solos in here, like I have, where is it, the Hugh Fantasy. But yeah, so then the fun part about this is that you can search for things, pretty much anything on IMSLP. If you know the composer or the title, you can search for it. So you just go over here, type in, Bach. Let's do Carl Philipp Emanuel. So you have all these things that you can go into, and so it's very easy to search. Unfortunately, you can't search by genre or by instrumentation, or at least if you can, I haven't figured out how. So what I'll typically do if I'm looking that way, I'll just go onto Safari and search for that, and then when I find a composer whose piece I'm interested in, then I'll come back to the IMSLP app, search for the composer that way. But yeah, you have your recent tabs, so it shows you what you viewed most recently, recordings if you have any of those, and then the viewer, it'll take you back to here. So this is similar-ish to the FourScore app. You can change the page turn settings. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do the half page turns in portrait mode like you can in FourScore, but you can enter a performance mode. You can reorder and edit the pages. You can use metronome, pitch, and tuner. You could bookmark things. You can edit. So this shows the viewer mode, and then you can go into edit mode. So yeah, but yeah, I hardly ever edit scores in here just because I don't really use them for much. If I'm going to be working on them, I will export them to FourScore. So if I want to do that, let's say the Don John, you can go over here, show IMSLP, full info, move, add to set list, share, export, print. So I would export as original PDF. You don't want to export as an IMSLP file because it won't be able to read unless you are going to email it to someone who has the IMSLP app. Then that might work. But yeah, so that's typically what I use this for. As far as I know, this app is free because IMSLP itself is free. So this is a great app if you want to test out a sheet music reader and you don't want to spend the $15 that FourScore costs. However, again, it is a bit more limited as a sheet music reader. You can't do the half-page turns. You can't do, in landscape, you can't do a half-page view, so it will automatically view the 2 pages, so it'll be smaller. And then you can't, that might be all that you can do. But, I mean, both are great. Again, I suggest trying both out if you really want to see how everything works. And, again, you can do something like how I do, and use IMSLP for like the stuff that you don't work with that much, that you just kind of sight read, and use forScore for everything else, or vice versa. You could do IMSLP for public domain stuff and forScore for copyrighted stuff. So yeah, but that is about it for these apps. All right, so that was my comparison of forScore versus IMSLP. I think they're both great apps for different people. If you want more flexibility with how you view your sheet music, forScore is definitely the way to go. But if you're on a tight budget, IMSLP is perfectly fine. You may just need to be a little more creative about how you navigate page turns and all of that, but both definitely serve their purposes. I use both on a daily basis, so if you're not sure which one, give both a try. Load your sheet music into both and see which one works better for you. So if you like that video, be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below with any requests that you have. If you want to use either of these apps in lessons, I also offer online flute lessons, accepting new students now. So the link to all of these things will be down in the description. You can also check out my blog for the coordinating blog post this week. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you did, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.